Hello, I'm Dave Stanley. This is the first brief in the series to challenge the thinking. And this one's titled Energy and Climate Change, the Global Drivers. And in it, we'll take a look at how and where you and your organisation contribute to climate change. We'll then take an overview on energy, how and where we use it, how efficient we are with it, and where the big opportunities lie. With concern over rising oil prices, climate change, it's very easy for us to overlook the fundamentals of this. But in doing so, it's a reminder to us of where part of the solution to the problems that we face lie. We've just had a look at the global carbon cycle. So how does carbon relate to carbon dioxide? Globally, the CO2 has risen around about 12% in the last 5 years and continues to rise. You can see that transport and electricity are important factors in this, but the yellow here is of interest in that that is the contribution that the United States currently makes. There is about 600 gigatons in the biomass, the trees, the grasslands and so on. And there's a huge 1600 gigatons of carbon in the soils. You can see that the total in the soil, in terms of carbon stocks there, exceeds that. There is, though, a carbon recovery process that can take place whereby, so what are these greenhouse gases and where do they come from? Well, by far the largest is carbon dioxide, responsible for about 85% of UK's greenhouse gas emissions, overall increase in the atmosphere of the order of about 40%, and carbon dioxide is reckoned to have a global warming potential of 1, and it's against this that the other gases are rated. There are 3 primary sources of CO2 emissions. The obvious one is fossil fuels, and the sources there are oil and gas. Is obviously used to boost the yields of food and production and also of biofuels. Another significant rising source is in road transport. In our desire to turn around and clean up the pollution in our urban areas, we've fitted catalytic converters. Water vapours are found in clouds and generally throughout the whole atmosphere. This process is extremely complex, but nevertheless water vapour is a greenhouse gas. Where this becomes significant is with aviation. In terms of counting the carbon footprinting, carbon trading, the emissions are broken down into 3 categories or scopes. Scope 1, if you look at shale oil, we're told there's a massive amount of shale oil around. However, the input-output over that is 1 in for only 3 to 5 back. This is the BP Statistical Review of World Energy in 2010. And from this, you can see that between 2005 and 2008, oil production globally has plateaued. Energy generation. Well, let's take a look at how efficiently we use this energy. An old coal-fired power station, and coal is still responsible for the majority or the largest part of appliances down there. So what about transport energy efficiency? Well, here's the motor car. Over the last 10 years, would you believe, what's been happening on the domestic front in terms of energy efficiency? Of note is the space heating. Maybe it's a bit of a surprise to note that despite all the insulation of our housing that's taken place, our consumption of energy for heating purposes has continued to increase. And the reason for that is, who has the oil? Well, this slide here shows the country size according to the amount of oil reserves that they're holding. So if you take the United States, what about energy security? We've all benefited from what was in the North Sea. Unfortunately, we're now net importers of energy and have been for the last 4 years or so. Delivers a reduction in most of the global environmental impacts, increased energy security, competitive advantage, and, well, if you look at DEFRA policy documents, You will find that in there. Now for the good news. Would you believe 80% of the UK's energy